having a the culture,
Right.
the culture.
Yes.
You could
Yes.
dive into that.
Oh yeah, I spent the
Some of the
first
differences.
10 to 15 years working for large industry companies, and I worked for a tax accounting firm. I worked for a very large telco firm, and you know when we talk about culture, we talk about dress code. That's the biggest thing is dress code.
Yeah.
You work for a large company, 99.9% of the time there's a dress code. It's starting to be a little bit
Yeah,
more flexible
especially in
now.
tech. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
but
in
but
tech.
back in the early 2000s, there was
Right.
always a dress code, especially a tax accounting software firm. Boy, you had to wear
Yeah.
slacks at a minimum, a polo shirt,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
wearing
it's still in
jeans. Oh
that a
my
little
gosh.
bit in
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
space.
Right. Yeah,
It's
you
yeah,
still have that in the
some of
financial
that.
space,
Yeah.
but as opposed to a small company. I remember when I went from my tax accounting software firm, they were an international company, and then I went to this small startup. Well, I wouldn't say it was a startup. They were more of a small business. They had about 78 people in the company,
Right. Yeah.
and I remember my first company meeting. I walked in there. It was my first day, and here I was in slacks and a polo shirt. And everybody comes walking in. They're wearing
Yeah.
t-shirts, flip flops, shorts. And
Yeah.
then what really surprised me is that they pulled in these wagons of ice cold beer.
Oh
And this was
yeah.
this was at two
Right.
thirty in the
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah.
So the culture is going to be very different from a small
Yeah.
company to a large company.
Right.
So
Yeah, and you don't talk about politics like at a large company.
yeah,
Politics are off the
right,
table.
right.
Small company, you would never know because I feel like we talk politics. All it's like
Yeah.
stuff you don't want to really talk about, but it's
Right,
like
right.
it's just there.
Yeah, but I do want to point
So
out that culture has changed a lot in the recent years. I mean, Google and Facebook, they
well, your big tech,
yeah,
your big
big
tech
tech.
has does it right.
Right,
They
right,
they treat it more like a small company because they know people like that, right?
right,
And
right.
tech, we kind of just drive that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, you have large companies, like if you're working for Target Tech or
yeah,
something. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure they have some more strict guidelines and
Right,
stuff you have
right.
to adhere to.
Yeah, but
So,
from a a culture perspective, I mean, it just depends. I mean, it
yeah,
all it all ties in together. If you want to work for a large company and have a little bit more rigid, culture and dress code, but you get superb benefits and a great, salary and things like that. Or, if you're lucky to find a small company that has a very loose culture and pays you good money, hey, that's great
right.
too. But just know that there are culture differences between
Yeah,
small and
yeah.
and large companies, and expect to be a little bit more professional.
At a
Yeah, I know that
larger
sounds kind of funny.
company, but
Yeah, at a
yeah,
larger company, you
no,
have, it's more flexible at a small
yeah,
company, and
yeah.
you can have cooler talk that
Right, that you wouldn't get away with
yeah,
at a
that you.
large
That's what I
company.
was trying to say. You won't get
That's
away with those in a large
yeah.
company. So.
Let's